his regeneration speech, the 12th Doctor observed that hate is always foolish. And while those are certainly inspiring words to live by, it's just not true with this lot, is it? I'm Ellie for Who Culture, here with the 10 most hateable Doctor Who characters. Number 10, Fenton. We've all known people like Fenton, who are so confident about their perspective on the world despite knowing absolutely nothing about it. The absolute worst person to be put in charge of overseeing community service, Fenton is wretched throughout Series 8 episode Flatline. It's an incredible performance by Christopher Fairbank, who really brings out the toxicity of Fenton's character. He belittles Riggsy's artwork and delights in ordering him to paint over his graffiti. The need for artistic expression is as alien a concept to Fenton as the Boneless themselves, and in fact, his mind is so staggeringly closed that the psychic paper doesn't work on him due to his lack of imagination. The fact that someone as small-minded and petty as Fenton was able to survive without having his mind changed is quite unique in Doctor Who, and it's notable that he's one of the few characters the Doctor regrets saving. 12 may have had some sharper edges at first, but it's hard to deny that much better and redeemable people died over the course of Flatline. Number 9, Romulus and Remus. Let's face facts here. Adric isn't the most hateable maths genius in Doctor Who, and he's not even the second most hateable one either. The most irritating, smarmy, punchable maths whizzes in the Whoniverse are Romulus and Remus, the titular pair from the Twin Dilemma. Of the many issues with Colin Baker's Doctor Who debut, it's arguably the twins that are the biggest misstep. The 6th Doctor may initially be a little bombastic and unlikable, but he pales in comparison to the irritating teenagers and their complete lack of regard for anyone but themselves. The Doctor and Peri come into contact with Lieutenant Hugo Lang during his mission to rescue Romulus and Remus from their kidnapper, Mestor. However, rescue missions generally require somebody to care about the people that have been kidnapped. Romulus and Remus are so unlikable that it beggars belief their parents would even want them back. The twins are utterly ghastly about their mother, calling her a fool and blaming her for everything. Their father is very clearly afraid of the kids too, and with good reason. Their mathematical skills are enough to destroy planets, and they don't seem at all bothered by this fact. Number 8, Jack Robertson. Even if you disregard the real-world political figure who clearly inspired him, Jack Robertson is absolutely awful. He's a capitalist monster who will stop at nothing to earn a profit. And when those business plans result in giant spiders menacing Sheffield or a full-on Dalek invasion, he shrugs it off and carries on. Chris Chibnall rarely gets enough credit for his Doctor Who era, but the character of Robertson was a truly hateable villain that reflects our real-world bad guys. Privileged narcissists who tread on everyone so long as they get to the top of their particular field. Catastrophes that affect ordinary people are nothing to characters like Robertson, even when their lives are in danger. Much like Fenton, Robertson doesn't learn a single thing from his near-death experiences in both Arachnids in the UK and Revolution of the Daleks. While Chris Noth never returned for Flux, there would have been something appropriate about Doctor Who's COVID series depicting a corrupt millionaire profiting from the end of the universe. Number 7, Angie and Ari. Yes, it's very easy to punch down and slag off child actors for giving unconvincing performances. All the same, Angie and Ari are absolutely dreadful. Doctor Who is primarily a family show, right? So imagine being a kid at home watching Nightmare in Silver and seeing these two ungrateful little sods complain about their first trip in the TARDIS. Angie's strop that the future is stupid and boring and doesn't have phone service is tooth-grindingly annoying. To be fair to Angie and Ari though, Nightmare in Silver is a pretty terrible episode of Doctor Who, and is full of similarly paper-thin characters. Still, the attitude of these would-be TARDIS travellers makes you wish that the Doctor and Clara had just abandoned them to be converted into Cybermen. How's that for excitement, kids? Huh? Number 6, the Marshal of Solos. John Pertwee's Doctor Who era was full of bumbling government types getting in the Doctor's way. However, the worst of these figures didn't originate from back home. He was found on the planet Solos. Played by Paul Whitson-Jones, the Marshal of Solos is a despicable colonizer who hunts the local mutant population and was intent on running the planet as his own private kingdom. The Marshal was such an awful coward that he wouldn't even take matters into his own hands when it came to protecting his position on Solos, and he even plotted to commit genocide against the Solonians by making Solos' atmosphere habitable for humans. The Doctor and Jo foiled the Marshal's plans, and the cruel dictator was eventually killed by the evolved Solonian Kai. While the mutants may not be everyone's favourite Third Doctor story, there is something satisfying in seeing Kai, in full glam rock gear, vaporise the Marshal as punishment for being a massive arse. Number 5, Lance Bennett. Okay, quick show of hands. Who feels that Donna Noble's prospective husband, Lance Bennett, is an absolute scumbag? All of you? Yeah, thought so. Think about how lonely and tragic a life Donna has if a tiny act of kindness from Lance is what convinced her that he was the one. Then think about how Lance manipulated that into dosing her coffee with huon particles to turn her into an energy source for the Rachnos. Scumbag. The scene where Lance cruelly mocks Donna for being excited about Pringles and having no drive is tough to watch. But on the other hand, watching Lance get fed to the Empress's spider children is a lot more satisfying than it had any right to be. Even before we discover that he's been spiking Donna's coffee and working for a huge alien arachnid, it's very clear he doesn't care for his future wife. When the Doctor returns Donna to the wedding reception, she finds him dancing with bloody Nerys, almost celebrating the fact that Donna was missing. And you just know that Lance would have copped off with Nerys too if the Dr. Donna hadn't turned up. Number 4, Joob Bull. Keeping Up Appearances star and Ben Cook botherer Clive Swift played 2 roles in Doctor Who. He played the kindly Mr. Copper in 2007's Voyage of the Damned, but decades earlier he played the utterly despicable Joob Bull in 1985's Revelation of the Daleks. Joob Bull is awful, and not just because he's one of an endless stream of pervy opportunists who tries it on with Perry. If it weren't bad enough that he's an ingratiating toady towards Davros, aka the Great Healer, Joob Bull is also a horrific bully, particularly to the besotted Tassenbeaker. Even when his whole life depends on it, Joob Bull can't stop himself from being completely horrendous to her. Ordered by Davros to kill the man that she's in love with, for reasons known only to herself, Tassenbeaker still tries to warn Joob Bull about the Great Healer's intentions. Joob Bull's response? That he'd much rather have sex with his own mother than ever be intimate with Tassenbeaker. Yeah, he deserved to get plugged in the chest with that syringe. Number 3, Rickon Slade. Rickon Slade is exactly the sort of person who would shove Leonardo DiCaprio off that floating door in Titanic. One of the passengers in Doctor Who's Voyage of the Damned, Rickon is a self-obsessed businessman who makes the Doctor's attempts to get everyone out alive increasingly difficult. In fact, Rickon is one of the few people in the Doctor's party who gets out of the situation unscathed. Banakafalata? Dead. Funa Morvin van Hoff? Dead. Astrid? Dead. Rickon, alive and unrepentant. What a dick. If Rickon's self-preservation and cruel fat-shaming of the Van Hoffs wasn't bad enough, it later transpires that he makes a massive profit from Max Capricorn's plan, having previously sold his shares to rival companies. The look on the 10th Doctor's face is a picture and a half, but he can't choose who lives and who dies, right? Unfortunately, just as the Doctor can't go back in time to save Adric or Astrid, neither can he go back in time and give Rickon a slight nudge off a wobbly gantry. Number 2, Lord Sutcliff. Thin Ice's Lord Sutcliff is another of Doctor Who's awful businessmen, but his list of crimes are pretty extensive, even compared to Jack Robertson. Holding the sea serpent captive under the Thames, Sutcliff used the frost fair to supply the creature with a steady supply of humans to feed its voracious appetite. At one point, we see a child get taken under the ice by the serpent, so Sutcliff is, at best, a criminally negligent corporate sponsor and at worst, a child murderer. Sutcliff needs to keep the creature fed because, after it's digested the various humanoid snacks sent its way, it craps out an alternative energy source that could change the face of the Industrial Revolution and make Sutcliff very rich indeed. Which is why he plotted to detonate a bomb under the frost fair and feed everyone to the creature. I mean, come on man, you're making it so easy to hate you. And on top of all that, Sutcliff was a massive racist. The way he speaks to Bill Potts is horrific, and a stark reminder of the vitriolic racism present in colonial Britain. The 12th Doctor punching Sutcliff in the face would be satisfying enough, but we also get to see the despicable sod get eaten by the sea creature, and his house taken over by the very children he tried to kill. Serves him right. Number 1, Lindy Pepperbean. Lindy Pepperbean is the most hateable character in Doctor Who because she's vain, vapid, self-obsessed, and a racist. The history of Doctor Who is littered with similar characters, but none have been quite as irredeemably awful as Lindy. What people seem to forget about Dot and Bubble is that social media isn't the problem, it's the people that use it. The Dots have decided to kill every single one of their users because they're sick and tired of their lip-syncing, dancing, pastel colours, and presumably, given the ending, all their racist rhetoric. To make them even more or hateable, the residents of Fine Time also don't have a care in the world. Well, apart from the racist eating slugs that exist in the corner of their vision. Let's not forget also that Lindy killed Ricky September, who, yes, may also have been a massive racist, but was also not addicted to social media and was fairly well educated, so might have been opposed to Fine Time's segregationalist politics. Everyone in Fine Time might be insufferable, but Lindy is the pinnacle, their spokesperson, the woman who'd rather die than step inside a ship with a black man. What a stupid, hateful idiot. By the end of Dot and Bubble, you're willing that boat to explode, but alas, Russell T Davies denies us the privilege. And that concludes our list, but if you want to stay on the hate train, why not check out the 10 worst Doctor Who episodes according to you? In the meantime, I've been Ellie for Who Culture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.